I want you guys to picture this scenario. Older man, 85, Alzheimer's, testicular cancer. He has great kids, but they're not equipped to handle him at home anymore. So they put him in a retirement residence. They come to visit him often. They see him on the weekends, every weekend. They see him in the evenings when they can. But for the most part, he's sitting in his room alone. He's watching the paint dry. He's lonely. He's vulnerable. And he's missing something in his life. He used to be active. He used to go to work every day. But now he's just sitting and doing nothing. So he goes down to the coffee shop. He grabs a coffee. And a very lovely waitress comes over to see him. She's 35 years his junior. And she talks to him. And as she talks to him, he finds that she's flirting a little bit with him. And she's enamored with him. And she laughs at all his jokes. And she smiles. And they have a really good time. So he figures the next day, he comes down and he grabs a coffee with her. And she comes. And this time she says, "You know, you're a really nice guy. Let's go out tonight." So they do. And then the next day he comes and he grabs a coffee. And this time, she just doesn't stand there. She sits down next to him. She puts her hand on his knee and she says, "You were really great last night." Now, he doesn't remember, but he thought, you know what? I don't remember a lot of things. So I'm sure she's saying the truth. And at the end, she says, "Let's go out again tonight." So they do. And the next day he comes for a coffee. And this time she not only sits next to him, she not only puts her hand on his knee, she nuzzles against him and says, "You were absolutely fantastic last night. Do you remember that you said you loved me? Do you remember that you asked me to marry you?" And he says, "I did." And she says, "I do." And they go out and they get married. And the next night they go on their honeymoon. The day after, he comes to the coffee shop and she sits next to him and she says, "You were absolutely great yesterday. The best I've ever been with. And you know what? You were so romantic last night. Do you remember you told me you loved me more than anybody else in the whole world? Do you remember you told me you wanted to give me all your money and you were going to cut out your children?" And he said, "I did." And she said, "You did." Now, he doesn't remember, but then again, he has Alzheimer's. He doesn't remember a lot of things. So they went out to a lawyer. He signed a will, cut out his kids, and gave everything to her. The sad thing about this story, it resembles many times fact as opposed to fiction. There's a world of financial predators out there. They take advantage of elderly people. They prey upon them. And that's why so many of these cases end up in court.